Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Best and Worst of the Week. First of all, let's just get the controversy out of the way. Last week here on Worst of the Week, I did something bad. In Lucha Underground, it is the monster Matanza, and I said Mantanza. I want to apologize to the audience, the believers, my parents, and most of all, Dario Cueto. Well, elsewhere in the wrestling world, Stephanie McMahon seems to have forgotten that she canceled the Ambrose Asylum 2 weeks ago. Big Cass made us actually feel bad for the vaudevillains with the beating he gave them, and Hulk Hogan busted out his first leg drop in over a decade when he put away Gawker. But what was the best of it all, and what was the worst of it all? Well, I'm Andrew with WhatCulture, and let's dive on in and sort it all out. And the number 5 worst, Jack Swagger versus Rusev, round 13. You know, as an American, I'm upset that we keep sending Jack Swagger into battle against Rusev, because I'm absolutely convinced we can do better. If you feel that you've seen the match between the two before, you're absolutely correct. They've actually fought 13 times on TV. To make matters worse, Rusev is 11-2 against Jack Swagger, so why does this match keep happening? He lost once on Tribute to the Troops because mysteriously every heel loses their ability to fight on that episode, and he lost once by disqualification. The question is it Jack Swagger that keeps asking for this rematch, or is he like forced into it over and over again? Just to mix things up, it would be nice if WWE gave some other unemployed patriotic wrestlers a shot at Rusev. I'm pretty sure that the Patriot and Mr. America could use the paycheck. The number 5 best this week is that Corey Graves just gets it. Imagine working at your job and you're the best at what you do, but instead, Byron Saxton and JBL are promoted ahead of you and paid better. How does Corey Graves do it? Sometimes it's the little things that enhance a professional wrestling match. At NXT TakeOver, Austin Aries came out to the ring with taped ribs. Corey Graves pointed it out, saying that he hadn't seen anything about it on the injury report. Now, an injury report? It's not a real thing, but the fact that Corey Graves says there's one? That's pretty awesome because it makes it seem like a real fight. Corey Graves takes his job seriously, which is something that JBL could probably learn from. Number 4 worst is Breezango's grooming techniques. If you have a friend that you think just maybe you could get them interested in professional wrestling, showing them NXT TakeOver would be a great place to start. A horrible place to start would be showing them a clip from Raw of Tyler Breeze shaving Fandango's back. At best, they're gonna say, you know what, I'm not interested in this professional wrestling thing, leave me alone. At worst, you've just lost a friend, and it would be 100% your fault. The number 4 best thing this week was the Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins hype videos. WWE did a great job of making it seem that Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins is a big deal. The video package that they aired on Raw was great, and they showed both sides of the story, and they should be doing that with every single pay-per-view main event. Roman does much better in a sit-down interview setting because he doesn't have that smug look on his face, and then someone can realize that suffer and succotash son is a bad insult and they can edit it out. The only bad thing about it was that it made Seth Rollins look like the more sympathetic of the two. You know, it's almost as if he should have just returned as a babyface. The number 3 worst, John Cena versus AJ Styles. Last week I gave John Cena versus AJ Styles going face-to-face as the best thing in professional wrestling all week. But this week, WWE did a fantastic job of damaging my interest in the match by, I don't know, like 30 to 35%. The build should have been based on the best of this generation in WWE, going to the best of this generation from TNA or around the world. They're making it seem like AJ Styles can't take on Cena unless he has his stablemates from the Christian Coalition. Wait, wrong company. I meant the Frontline. I meant Fortune. The Bullet Club. No, I mean just the club. That's right, okay. Not only that, but the end of Raw saw John Cena running down to the ring and knocking out the club by himself easily and then giving Luke Gallows the attitude adjustment. It felt like way too much, way too soon. I wish I could be more optimistic, but this is John Cena. So history says that the club is gonna be the next Nexus, or Rusev, or Bray Wyatt, or Jesus, or Alberto Del Rio, or Ryback, or Carlito. The number 3 best thing this week is Teddy's back. You know, I'm still kind of conflicted about how I feel about Teddy Long coming back on Raw. On one hand, I always love random characters coming back. I'm still waiting for a Repo Man GM for the night. On the other hand, Teddy was pretty bad. However, one of the funniest things in wrestling this week was Teddy Long playing his own theme song on his cell phone, because that's exactly something I would do if I had a theme song, which I don't. So don't ask me. This actually reminds me of an urban legend of the Ultimate Warrior driving up and down his town, playing his own theme song from his truck that had his likeness on it. I have no idea if that's true, but I really want to think it was. You know, some say on still nights, you can still hear his theme song coming from the desert. You know, the saddest part of all is that it's not even Teddy Long's theme song. He stole it from his old client, Rodney Mack, which is why the first lines of the song are, "You know it's the Mac Militant." You know, after all these years of managing Doom and refereeing and being the head of SmackDown, the man could afford his own theme song. And the second worst thing is Willow Masks for All. This week on Impact, they did a solid job of building up towards Slammiversary, their second biggest show of the year. They made Drew Galloway versus Bobby Lashley seem like a great main event, and they made us wait to see EC3 get his hands on Mike Bennett. All was going well until the end of the show when Matt Hardy came out and then suddenly the lights went out. They came back up and the entire front few rows were wearing Willow masks. Now, a couple of questions here. Did they just run out of Willow masks so they couldn't give them to everyone in the crowd? And did Jeff Hardy before the show have to pass them out to every single person and then tell them exactly when to put them on? It brought me back to Bray Wyatt kidnapping an elementary school choir to have them scare John Cena. It's one of those things that in your mind you might think, ooh, that's kind of creepy, but when you see it play out, it's bad. Luckily though, in this week's Hardy segment, no innocent dining room tables were injured in slow motion. The second best thing to happen is the nunchuck match. You know, Extreme Rules gave us an asylum match where a mop was used as a weapon, but this week in Lucha Underground, we got a motherfucking nunchuck match. I'm guessing they weren't actual nunchucks because there was a surprising lack of brain matter splattered all over the ring. But Aerostar jumping off of Dario Cueto's office while brandishing nunchucks is one of the most badass, ridiculous things we've seen in wrestling in some time. And the absolute worst thing to happen to professional wrestling this week, Area Woman doesn't realize that kayfabe died 30 years ago. Next time you go to a professional wrestling show, leave your firearms at home. Or, if you're a professional wrestler, don't tell a toothless woman in the front row to sit her toothless self down. Poor independent wrestler Paul Lee found this out the hard way when Patricia Ann Crow pulled out a knife to free his opponent during his match. She then took things up a notch and pulled out a gun in front of children. Luckily though, no one was hurt. We can all feel safe. She was arrested and released on $4,000 bond. And the number one best thing in professional wrestling this week, NXT TakeOver The End. Just all of it. All of it was so good. Just all of it. I fear for the future of NXT a little bit as their roster is sure to get rated next month with the brand extension. Though maybe that means that hot young up-and-comer Ava Marie will finally get a push. This may not have been the best TakeOver event, but it was still pretty damn good. And the thing is, there's nothing bad about it. There was no golden truth, there was no back shaving, there was no cereal box masks. It was just wrestling and people trying to win their matches. Let's hope that SmackDown is heavily influenced by NXT, especially now that their head writer has moved up to the major leagues. And let's hope that NXT continues to turn out great events, otherwise we will have lost something really special. It seems like such a simple concept, but for some reason, Vince McMahon is never satisfied. He wonders why we would rather watch two athletes wrestle when instead we could watch them shave each other's backs. Well, that's the list for this week. What was your best and worst wrestling moments of the week? Sound off below. I'm Andrew with WhatCulture, and you can follow me at Andrew Socek on Twitter. Make sure to like and subscribe to get more of the greatest wrestling videos in the history of the world.
WhatCulture.com are releasing a new magazine about wrestling, and it's called Wrestling. It'll have 140 pages of timeless wrestling content, including a brand new How WWE Should Have Booked written by this virulent son of a bitch. It will also have a list of the 100 best wrestling matches of all time compiled by WhatCulture staff and wrestling insiders. So the magazine is available to pre-order now. Follow the link in the description and enjoy WhatCulture.com's Wrestling.